How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Hey, I know I asked you in my last video, and I'm going to ask you again. Look, I'm only at 25 subscribers right now, okay? So if you're seeing this video, I'm going to ask you to like, share, subscribe, especially subscribe, because I would really like to reach more people. Leave comments for me, too, because I read as many as I can. I can't respond to all of them, even with only 25 subscribers, because I kind of have life outside of doing this. Because 25 subscribers, some people actually make a living doing this. I don't. I'm just here. I mean, would I like to be able to make a living at it someday? Yeah, maybe. And I'd like to have you help me get there. So leave me some comments, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, we're going to get into something today here that a little bit different. I've always been a political animal. A lot of my videos have been political. I'm also what you might consider politically homeless at the time. Which means, I used to be a Republican, now I'm not, because they went too far off to the right, but I still don't agree enough with the Democrats to join them. But again, this isn't a political video. It's just kind of an explanation of why a lot of my videos are more political in nature. So, I'm going to address very specifically Gen X. That's right, Generation X. Us. Let's have a little conversation here. You remember when we were kids, and we'd ride our bicycles through yards that we're not supposed to ride through, jumping over fences, avoiding the neighbor's mean dog and whatnot, hitting baseballs into windows and then running away and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah. And what did the old people say then? Kids these days. Guess what? That's us now. Why? Why are we that way? Well, I don't know. Speaking just for myself, I mean, other than being just old and I'm not old, but old enough to be old. I mean, you see this, right? I mean, that's that's not as dark as it used to be. But at least I still have all of this up here, so I've got that going for me. Anyway, kids these days. Whose kids are they that we're complaining about? Those boomers and those silent generation types that would always be screaming at us and complaining about us, and kids these days. Yeah. We were their kids, and they were complaining about us. And I will guarantee that the lost generation complained about them, and the greatest generation, lost generation, complained about those kids. I'll guarantee it. And it's a big cycle, because here we are, we're complaining about kids these days, and sticking on them. They always got to have their phones, and they're always texting somebody. Sure. Who taught them? Who taught them? I mean, we grew up, there was no internet, and then when we had internet, it was, see, even Molly over there agrees with me. I don't know if you heard her or not, but she agrees with me, Kids these days, who's responsible for them? We are. Just like when we were kids these days, yep, it was the old people complaining about kids these days that were responsible for us. And Molly is still agreeing with me for some reason. I don't know what she's over there barking at, but, whatever. Or maybe she just thinks I'm way out of line. By the way, millennials. Millennials. You guys get kind of a bad rap because, especially from the boomers, because they don't really understand who you really are and what a millennial is. I mean, I understand that, my little sister is like right on the edge of millennial and Gen Z. Excuse me, not millennial and Gen Z, millennial and Gen X. My son is right on the line of millennial and Gen Z. My sister and my son are not the same age. No, but millennials, you are responsible for the younger Gen Z. The youngest of the Gen Zs, yeah, millennials, you're responsible for them. And also the alphas, you get all the blame for them. We, as Gen X, get all of the blame for all of Gen Z and the younger millennials. Like I said, my son is right on the line. So, my daughter, however, is solidly Gen Z. And, well, millennials, boomers, fellow Gen Xers. And you know what? Even if we've got some silent generations still hanging around, there's probably not too many of you out there. I mean, you are unfortunately a nearly extinct breed. If you're going to complain about kids these days, maybe you should have done a better job making sure that kids these days weren't like, the kids these days. But let's be honest here. Kids aren't nearly as stupid as we think they are. They're not nearly as smart as they think they are, but they're not as stupid as we think they are. I mean, let me talk very specifically to the guys. Remember when you were a teenager and your dad didn't know a damn thing? He seems pretty wise now, doesn't he? Yeah, well, that's kind of how your kids are looking at you. If your kids are teenagers, you're an idiot, you don't know anything. Give it a few years. And when their time comes, once we start having grandkids, and some of us already have grandkids, but when we start having grandkids, our kids are going to complain about kids these days, When I'm 80 years old, and, my son, he'll be in his 50s, I'll be in my 70s and 80s, my son will be in his 50s, I'm in my 70s, my kids will be in their 50s, and they'll be complaining about kids these days. I guarantee it. And we'll be complaining about it too. Let's be honest, we're going to complain about it. But maybe we should. Maybe we should just kind of laugh it off. because, I mean, it's an old song, dated reference, but it's all right. And I don't know that that the song, other than the title, actually fits in this context. But "Kids Are All Right" by The Who. I don't even know what the lyrics are off the top of my head. I mean, that's, if it comes on right now, I mean, I could sing along with it, but I can't think of the lyrics. Anyway, getting sidetracked, off on a tangent again. It's kind of one of the things I do. Kids these days are going to complain about kids these days when they are the old people. And by the way, kids these days are complaining about us. So, just like we complained about the old people back then. They don't get it. They're out of touch. And it's all right. It's a circle. It happens. Keeps going. But, like I said, the kids are all right. I'll see you next time.